You're listening to Funny Peculiar with Jeff Downs.
You're listening to the Funny Peculiar podcast with me, Jeff Downs. Thanks for downloading and thanks for listening as always. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, iTunes, Podcast Addict, pretty much all the major podcast channels. So tell your friends, share it. Loads of great guests, as always, coming up. We've just done an Edinburgh Fringe special. Those are finished, although I've got still interviews I've done with other performers from the Edinburgh Festival, so they'll be coming out later on. This week, I'm going back to my roots with some more burlesque, and it's one of the Monster Cirque girls. Now, I've interviewed Jinx Monster and B Noir, and this week it's Bella Donna. So if you're interested in the Monster Cirque group, go to monstercirque.co.uk and all the information's there. Bella is one of the girls that does a multiple amount of performing and different skills, and I caught up with her not long ago and we had a bit of a chat, and we go straight into it because she's actually involved in a Miss England alternative beauty contest, and we chat about that. We chat about lots of other stuff. You can catch her on Facebook and Instagram, and she's Bella Donna, but if you put in Bella Stanya, which is Stanyer, and you'll find her on there. So without further ado, let's go over and say hello to Bella. Hello, Bella.
Hi.
Hey, how are you? Are you all right?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Now, well, I'm honoured because we were chatting earlier, because I'm actually chatting to Miss Stoke on Trent, which is part of this competition that you're doing at the moment, which is Miss England, isn't it? Which is kind of an alternative beauty contest, so it's kind of got a little bit of a twist now to it. So just talk us through. So you got through to the Miss Staffordshire or runner-up, and now you've become Miss Stoke on Trent. So you're on your way to the final, is that right?
Yes, I went to, after the Miss Staffordshire competition, I got through to the semi-finals, and then after that, I'm now in the finals for Miss England, and I've taken part in it to kind of break the mould a little bit and try and show that people with tattoos and piercings and all that, and the funky hair, and people that want to be a bit different can also still be a part of competitions like this.
Yeah, and just to say to anybody listening now, and if you're going to work or whatever, go to Instagram account and follow it at Bella Stanya. So it's Bella and it's Stanya, Stanyer. That's Bella's Instagram account. Same for Facebook. Wonderful, fabulous pictures of all Bella's costumes and outfits. And yeah, this is a little bit different because, and you've got tattoos as well. And this was something of the earlier or the older beauty contest in yesteryear. They wouldn't allow tattoos. You had to be perfection in that way. But now they are allowing more alternatives, or if you've got tattoos. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it's now not a problem. Some of the people were a bit taken aback by the tattoos, I have to admit. I remember being backstage with a couple of people, and whilst we were getting changed, they saw my tattoos on my leg and took a step back and was like, "Oh, what are they?" And I'm like, "It's a tattoo." Like, everyone knows what a tattoo is. And they all kind of like moved away from me, and I'm like, "They're not catchy. It's okay." Yeah.
So
but a lot of the women are lovely. They're not all like that. A lot of the people were very welcoming and free thinking on everything that I'm put forward.
And what was the tattoo on your leg? What did they back away from? What was the?
I have two tattoos on my leg by a tattoo artist called Alex Frost, who's just gone to Germany. One of them is of a lady that's both my mum's Taurus and my dad's Aries, and I'm a Taurus. And since I was a child, we've had a saying of that we all lock horns because we're all so similar. Right. So the top part of my leg is a lady with the combination of the horns of the Taurus and the Aries, with leaves and Mother Nature all around her. And then my second tattoo is of a lady holding a skull in her hand with a Ouija board across her face,
right,
and with like teeth and like this circus-styled dress. And that's because it's based off my mum, and she's a psychic medium and has been for like 20 years now.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of tribute to her then. So how big are
Yeah.
these tattoos? Are these like the from the knee to the calf? Is it, or is it bigger?
Yeah, the first one's from my hip to my knee, and the second one's from my knee to my ankle, so they're quite big.
Wow, that's huge. So yeah, that was that. So that's obviously, and you can't miss that in a changing room, especially in a beauty contest. So they were a little bit sort of, they'd never seen this before, or they were just like, oh, they're letting this type of girl into the contest now. Was that?
Yeah, I felt like they were a little bit on the second sort of one where like, oh, you're not like the usual girls we have in. But not all of them were like that. Some of them were very welcoming. I had a few of the judges and a few other people actually come up to me after the competitions going, it's good to see a change. You know, it's 2018. It's time for a change. It's time to modern up a little bit and realise that we're not all, you know, blonde, 6 foot talls, super thin. You know, we're not all like that.
Yeah.
And it's time for a bit of a change with that. Stephanie, who's the Miss England now, she said that she loved my look. She's very happy that I'm so different and whatever, and I'm taking part in the competition. So that was really lovely to hear from her.
That's and what sort of look now? Yeah, we've got. I think everybody can picture in their mind that general Miss Universe, that very, you know, the look of when it, when it was on television and Bob Hope or whoever would host it, and it was that gorgeous girl with the big tiara and the big long hair, the big white teeth, and that was. So what? How is your look that sort of different? What are you wearing? Can you wear more sort of burlesque fetish stuff now?
I still kind of calm it down a little bit, just because I don't want to shock them too much. But I do, for example, in the semi-finals, I made a shawl that flared up with black and green feathers, and I had a mermaid-styled green dress.
That was the one I saw. Yeah, if you go to Bella's Facebook, wonderful, absolutely good. But it's just so different. It's just something different.
Mm-hmm. And for the eco round, we had to make the Staffordshire one. It was like something to do with the Staffordshire heritage, and then the semi-finals one, it was something in the past 4 decades. And I basically made a leather dress, all of patchwork recycled leather from old furniture. Right. And I basically made a minor-styled punk costume, which was slightly different than a lot of the other people's outfits. So I had like a miner's helmet as like a shoulder piece. Right. For the semi-finals, I had a unicorn headdress.
Right, that's brilliant. So, and you were using old bits of furniture, like leather work from the chairs, and you were stitching that together or gluing that together. Stitching,
yeah. I think I broke about like 4 sewing needles trying to stitch this thing together.
How long did that take you to make?
About 3 or 4 weeks, but constant going at it, trying to get this leather together.
Wow, that's fun. And is that on your Facebook page? Is it?
Yes. It is.
I'll have to look for that. Some stunning photos. So you're through to the final of Miss England. Is that right?
Yes.
So, and you were saying, as we were talking earlier, and of course. And also that they're allowing sort of more alternative girls in, and it's not just you've got the swimsuit section, you've got the evening gown. It's actually, I didn't know this. Just tell us about that. Now you've got a physical sort of strength ability section, and just talk about the different things they do now.
Yep, they now have a fitness round. For example, in the Miss Staffordshire one, we had to do a boot camp experience where it was 4 weeks, 3 times a week, we had to go to a particular gym, and a personal trainer would put us through circuit training. Yeah. And it's not about how many push-ups or anything you can do. It's more about how much effort you make, that you turn up on time, you really give it your everything. And they filmed the last day for the catwalk event. And then on the actual event with for Miss Staffordshire, they showed it on the big screen whilst we were all on the stage. And brilliant. We're all in gym gear, having a laugh and having fun. And then the fitness instructor picks who was put the most effort in, which is good.
That's good. So it's a sort of modern version of the Krypton Factor, but it's like, but they're giving, but you're judged on your sort of your strength of character almost, rather than your physical strength.
Yeah. For example, we actually had fitness instructors instructors in the competition, people who like teach dance and gym work and stuff in schools. And the girl that actually won the fitness round isn't any of that. Just she doesn't do fitness instructor or anything like that. She just goes to the gym once a week casually, and she ended up winning because she put so much effort into it.
Okay. And are you quite physically fit yourself? Do you do a lot, or was that a bit of a shock to the system when you had to do that?
I try, like, I go to the gym at least once a week, and one of the Monster Cirque ladies, Benoit, she puts me through my paces occasionally when I go up to her studio, Airborne, to do a bit of pole fitness and things like that.
Right.
So,
okay. That's because that is.
I'm somewhere on the middle ground.
Yeah, and also one of the other we were talking the round. So that was the gym round. The fitness, and you also have to do, and I've just seen a clip now on your Facebook page, because you do a charity round as well, don't you?
Yes.
So, and this one is you're with this G&D Reptiles Rescue and Rehoming, and I can see you on video now with a guy showing you, and I hate snakes and tarantulas, and you actually went down there and saw some of these snakes and spiders, and did you then get to handle them?
Yeah. I volunteered at G&D Reptiles for over 2 years, working with their breeding program for their snakes and everything, and looking after a lot of the animals. I have a lot of animals myself, and all the animals I own are from their rescue centre.
So you're into snakes anyway, or spiders? Do you have your?
Yes.
See, I'm the complete girl here, and I can't stand. I'm quite happily. I'll get dressed up so so you have, what sort of snakes do you have, or spiders at home?
I have 2 corn snakes, a tegu monitor, Argentinian.
Say that again, a tadium monitor.
An Argentinian tegu monitor.
An Argentinian tegu. Right, okay, I've never heard of that. And how big's that snake?
It's a lizard, and they go to 6 foot.
Oh my lord! So it's like, and what does that eat? How do you what's the daily food regime?
When they're quite young, you'd feed them like quite fruit based, like bananas. You'd go for more like exotic type fruit, like kiwis, things like that. And then as they get older, the meat ratio kind of goes up, and you give them more like your mice or your chicks, things like that, all pre-frozen.
Yes, yeah.
And then the occasional like insect, maybe like crickets and things like that. Right.
Because you have to. I've lived near I live just by a pet shop, or used to, and they and one of the owners couldn't bear getting the it was frozen mice. That's where a lot of the food comes from. So you have to. Do you get that from a local supplier then?
Yeah, the rescue place, G&D Reptiles, they have a exotic pet shop right next door called HD Reptiles.
Oh, right.
So I used to get all my stock from there.
Oh, wonderful. And so you've got 2 corn snakes, the lizard, the Argentine lizard. What else do you have?
I have a black American scorpion that I had since it was a baby.
Really?
Yeah, it's beautiful. 2 African land snails, a fat-tailed gecko.
Wow.
And a cat.
just to tick a box there, you have, and then
just to have something cuddly.
So what's now the scorpion? And they are sort of like fine looking. I mean, they are built for war in a way, aren't they? They're attacking.
Mm-hmm.
How then looking after a scorpion? How is it? You can't domesticate them. I take it. It is just a scorpion. Will it? It's dangerous. Is it poisonous?
It has got poison, but the most it's going to do is make you feel a little bit ill. You might throw up.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but it's not deadly in any way. But it is kind of cool. I mean, you can pick them up. You can. Right. You have to be very gentle though. You have to pick them up by the tail and just not freak out and trust them that they're not going to sting you.
Right.
But the one I have, she's quite feisty. She's. Right. Okay. I personally wouldn't pick her up. So.
Right, okay. So does she stay in like a tank then?
Yes. She stays in a terrarium that I have for her.
Okay. And what do they eat? Scorpions? I didn't.
Insects mainly. They don't need feeding that much because. They wouldn't have that much in the wild, so maybe once a week. You can't put loads of insects in there because the insects actually will get too big and they might attack her. For example, black crickets can bite, so you wouldn't want that.
Really? I didn't know. Really? So they can be what, again, everybody thinks is a placid insect. It will attack back.
Yeah, if there's enough of them, definitely.
Ah, right, okay. So and then you've got the cat. So you've got
Yeah.
a nice. What was the other insects? No. What was the other? It was sort of the. There was the lizard. It was the scorpion.
I have a fat-tailed gecko.
A gecko. Yeah. Now they are. How big can that grow to?
Oh, it's probably about just smaller than the palm of my hand. It's not that big.
Okay. So
They're tiny.
And that again has its own tank and is left. And do you play with the gecko? Is
Yeah, she's lovely. I can put her on my shoulder and she'll just chill there. Really,
Wonderful.
she's absolutely fine.
Wonderful. So this again. So sorry. Let's back to the Miss England. So I'm sorry. It's me diverting off. So this was again another section which that you had to do some sort of charity work. So when's the actual final?
The 3rd and 4th of September.
Okay. And have you got your outfit sorted? Do you know what you're wearing?
Yeah, I've got a lot of it sorted. I'm very excited for
Any
it.
sneak preview, or give us a brief description? Do you know what you're going to go with?
Well, for example, their eco round, their theme is has to be plastic based, and it has to be something to do with save the ocean.
Okay, now this is something. Yeah, sorry, just to say to everybody.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the different rounds. There's a fitness one and there's a charity one. Now this one, one of the rounds you've got to make your own as an environmental sort of rather than just buying something off the peg. You've got to make your own costume. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, go on. What are you planning?
I not to give too much away, but
No,
I'm planning on researching a lot of stuff about things that I feel quite close and personal to the subject, which is about oil spills and how it happens all over the place, and it is dreadful and it leaves massive disasters. So I'm creating a costume and then covering half of it in liquid latex. So the costume is all plastic based. There's a local club that I've done a couple of shifts for, working, etc., that I go there quite a lot, and I sometimes perform at, called the Sugar Mill.
Right.
And they all use plastic cups, no glass, no nothing, it's all plastic cups. So they've basically donated a lot of their used cups that they have to like chuck away, and I've been cleaning them and cutting them up and making my costume with it. And then when I've completely made it, I'm going to pour black liquid latex over it so it looks like oil just spilling all over me.
Right, okay. So that's going to look really effective.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that sounds absolutely brilliant, and you know the remit of what the section's about. So that's coming up. But let's get into because you do a lot of burlesque and that's your main thing. But what did you do before burlesque, and how did it all come about? How did you get into it?
I did a lot of modelling when I was quite young. About 16, I was doing stock photography and stock modelling and that sort of thing. And I started then doing some acting, and I worked for a scare acting company called Events to Scare, and we do dress up as zombies, and people would hire us for weddings or festivals.
So scare acting. So there's an actual agency. So quite specifically, you want people want to hire people to dress up as zombies. I've not heard.
Or werewolves or vampires or whatever horror style thing. Very busy around Halloween, as you can imagine.
Okay. And when you've done those gigs, have you had and someone's booked it and you've turned up, has someone been absolutely petrified and didn't realise it was, have you given someone a complete shock? Just tell us about those.
I did a gig where we were at a location, and it had to be an asylum, and it was like a boot camp experience where they would pay a ticket and then have to go through this location, this old abandoned building, and we were dressed up as an asylum patients. And luckily it wasn't aimed at me, but the guy that was with me on this particular spot where they had to go through, there was this group of girls, and he obviously thought, oh, this will be fun, this will be a laugh. Went running up to them, was hanging off the ceiling, so really scared him. And this one particular girl, who they all looked like quite girly girls, so he didn't think much of it, turned around and punched him straight in the face.
Oh, no.
And he had a bleeding lip, and he stayed in character, but then after he was lip massively blown up. And
oh no! But But as a zombie bleeding, you wouldn't you wouldn't take much notice. You go, oh, that's very good method acting. He's actually... Oh no, so he got an axe. So she just, for self-defence, took over and she just punched him. Oh no.
Well,
Go on.
we've had bookings where we've, for example, one particular one was a wedding where somebody had booked it for, and a birthday, and we had to. None of the guests know. They just turned up, and then there was all standing around eating food, and then a guy gets like thrown at this beautiful window, and then all these zombies attack him and start dragging him away. And he's dressed up like a builder, so he looks like he's doing some work on the house and things like that. And we had to pre-warn one of the guests because he was ex-military. And we were pre-warned that it was like, this could end really bad. We might need to tell this guy.
So he could have gone launching himself in there and sort of medic incoming, and just would have started taking you lot out and sort of okay. And this was for a wedding, was it?
No, sorry, that one was a birthday.
A birthday, but even so, for someone's birthday, it just, why would you? But there you go, people's tastes change. And what do you wear when you get dressed up as a zombie? Do you have a certain look?
It's all sorts, really. Even though I'm 21, I can look quite young, apparently, sometimes. So I normally go for the quite creepy, like, sort of the girl from The Ring type look with the hair all brushed forward and being quite creepy. I can move quite quick on my like hands and knees and stuff, so that always works. And I have a really good zombie screech, which obviously I won't do right now.
So, give us a small, if you want, a little bit of a take. Or you don't have to if it's.
I will literally hurt people's eardrums.
Okay,
so
right.
We'll
leave that. That's fine. I've got my headphones on. You could. So what? And so did you put like makeup, like a white paste makeup on? Because I've seen them do, and people tend to wear like perhaps fake teeth to make them look yellowing. Or do you do anything like to that extent?
When we turn up, the actual company does all our makeup because they have their own makeup artist for the company, and they have all the prosthetic training and everything.
So you're doing.
So it's a lot of prosthetics.
Well, I've got a friend, and I hope to get him on my Funny Peculiar podcast, and he was Voldemort. He was the body double for Ralph Fiennes in the Harry Potter film.
Wow!
So he's coming on soon. And he describes, he does exactly what you have to. He turns up and he has to have a prosthetic stuff put on. So you turn up and then they do all your makeup, basically.
Yes, we quite recently we had to do a thing for The Walking Dead.
Right.
We had to go down to London at 6:00 the previous day, PM, and then get ready at midnight, and then go walk the streets at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. And then not come back home till 8:00 at night. It was a long day.
Oh, that's a long time. And constantly with all this prosthetic on, dressed and in character for that.
Yes, and in character.
and what is that? Was that for the TV series Walking Dead?
Yep, it was the new series of The Walking Dead was coming out, and to advertise it in the UK, we'd all gone to London, and the company was hired by Fox. So we did like I think it was hashtag 100 walking zombies or something like that. There was over 100 of us. So.
And so, can you see yourself in the episode? Have you seen it? Is it out yet?
The clip of the advertising and stuff is already out. Yeah. I'm in it.
You can spot. You can go. That's me there.
Yeah.
So, and are you doing? Because sometimes when I've seen them, you do like a particular walk. So you're doing the zombie walk as well.
Yeah. You always like make sure that one of your shoes are slightly baggy and slipped off, so it looks like your ankle's broke.
So like, I see, that's a trick. Okay,
tricks of the trade.
I had no idea there's a whole agency for. So it's zombies. What other stuff's in the agency?
Like vampires, werewolves. One of the main guys who runs the company actually makes werewolf masks.
Oh, right, okay. Well, he could be great to talk to because I want to chat to someone that does special effects makeup and stuff like that. So
yeah, definitely.
He could be your guest at the end that I get on. But I don't want to give you ideas. I'll get his details from you at the end anyway. He sounds wonderful. Okay, so this was something you started to get into, or you were doing. And then, so how did you make that leap into burlesque? When did that happen?
Well, I did a music video for a band called Circus Junkie Rebels,
Ooh.
and they then, because I did the music video, gave me free tickets for their first gig. And I went backstage, and they'd hired a freak show performance group. And I went backstage and was chatting away with the band, and they were saying that one of their dancers had fallen short and wasn't going to turn up for the gig. And they looked at me and asked if I could dance. And I was like, sort of, I can give it a go. So I filled in the space for them. They said that they liked me, so I got on with them. And next minute I know, they're teaching me the tricks of the trade, and I'm working with them quite a bit. So that's what got me into the more I started doing angle grinding and podium dancing, that sort of thing. And then I moved away from them, and we both did our own thing. And I started doing burlesque because I went to a performer called Evel, who's the daughter of the only father and daughter sideshow act in the UK. She started doing burlesque classes, so we went to a few of them, fell in love with the style. I absolutely loved it, and I started doing burlesque.
That's brilliant, and it just evolved that way. And now you're how many years are you doing burlesque now for?
Oh gosh, I think it's coming up to 4.
4 years.
Yeah.
And what's the and how do you keep that act fresh? How do you keep, because a lot of people have lots of different looks and designs. Where do you get your ideas from?
A lot of the time it's all over the place. My brain is constantly ticking away. That's actually one of my problems. I constantly think of brand new ideas, so I don't carry on concentrating on the ideas that I've already put forward and that I'm already focusing on. So I'll go, this brand new act, I'll buy the stuff, I'll make the stuff, I'll put it all together, I'll perform it 2 or 3 times, and then I'll go, this brand new idea. Next minute I know I'm doing the whole process all over again. So I really need to start out controlling myself on that.
And what music, because talking to other burlesque dancers, music's quite critical to the look and the feel. Definitely. And I always love, what sort of music do you go for? What sort of tracks do you use?
I'm known for quite unusual acts that are quite peculiar and creepy. So a lot of my tracks, I try and go for the more obscure tracks, not ones that people might have heard on the radio or things like that.
Okay.
Or a lot of soundtrack type music. For example, my Mother of Dragons routine has the actual soundtrack music rather than the opening credits, but the ones in some of the episodes.
So sorry, the what's the name of that program again, or the film?
The routine is Mother of Dragons, but it's from Game of Thrones.
Ah, right, okay. So it's called, the track's called Mother of Dragons for people.
The routine is, yeah.
Sorry, the routines. And what's the actual piece of music from Game of Thrones called?
It's 2 of the soundtracks. One's for the Dothraki, and one's from an episode where Daenerys Targaryen, who's the Mother of Dragons lady, when she's walking out into this crowd and all these people are surrounding her and calling her the queen, there's this song that starts playing, and that's also in my routine.
Okay, that's great, just for anybody that wants to go and listen to that music or don't know exactly where to go. And what's the other stranger tracks you were talking about? What sort of music is that? A
lot of the sort of stuff that I have, for example, a lot of my routines are weird and wonderful, and I have a bunny act where I dress up as in a mascot costume with a really horrific bunny mask that's all latex and gory, and I come out and it's this sort of creepy girl type song. I'm trying to remember the artist now. It's called Lonely Toy or something.
Okay. So,
and that normally freaks a few people out.
Do you get what with some of those costumes, the more sort of outlandish ones, and have you had an audience member freak out or just not handle it, or any examples of that?
There's been a few cases where, for example, someone might hire me for a festival and my acts, burlesque related, you'd think would be very much 18 plus, But no, the festival will be like, oh no, it's family friendly, and I'll walk out on stage, feel all ready for my act, look down, and there's a row of children at the front, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
And then, so do you immediately? So just describe your. So at the moment with one of your burlesque routines, is there? What do you sort of do? Is there sort of obviously lots of, and because burlesque is about taking off layers and reveal and reveal. What do you
about the tease?
All about the tease. What do you do? How's yours work?
I'm very story based, like very character based. So a lot of my routines will come out as a character, and there'll be a reason why they'll end up in like tassels and a thong at the end of it.
Right.
For example, I have my latest act, which is my panda act.
Yeah.
Is all about how pandas are going extinct. So this particular panda wants to mate her species out of extinction.
Right.
So I come out, my partner is very good at doing David Attenborough impressions.
Right, okay.
So I've got him recording saying, and now we see the giant panda and all that sort of thing.
Brilliant.
And then I come out, I'm acting like a normal panda, as normal as you can be.
And that's a panda. That's a panda outfit, an actual bear sort of look.
Yeah. It's a full-on mascot costume.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And so then I walk out, and then the Discovery Channel song starts playing by is it Bad Blood, I think.
Okay.
Which is like, quite poppy and it's got a beat to it. So then the panda starts moving to the sexy music, and then obviously it starts taking its furry clothing off. Of course. And then I do a fan dance with some leaf fans that I made.
Very again, bamboo connection there, is it?
Yeah.
Love it. And go on, what's the finale for that one?
It's down to the panda hat, so I still have the panda mask on, fully covered, with paw print pasties and a black pants with a white tail still attached to the bum.
Brilliant.
So doing this fan dance, then I reveal, and then doing the dance and tease and reveal again.
In that case, on a festival where they've booked you and it's children, and you're like, and you can just see, do you then just have to not
go with it?
Do you go down to your sort of pants?
Yeah.
And really.
Still go with it. They bought the ticket. They should have been warned.
There's no going back now. Oh, and so what do you? Your mum's a spirit medium. I was going to say, what does your family think? But obviously, your mum is pretty cool with it all, and what they're fine with it.
Yeah, my family are very supportive. They've been to a lot of my shows. Even my father, he's been to some of my burlesque shows, which some people think is quite weird. But no, they're very, very supportive. What's that feel
like? How does that? Because when I do comedy, I'm like, I'm not family and friends. I always tense up, and it's like when doing burlesque and your dad's in the audience.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
It is a little bit like, it's especially my more like seductive type teasing routines. It is a little bit like, oh no, I can't do the full thing with that, but I still have to do it because the client pays and my family's just there. But yeah, my family are very supportive even with that sort of thing. They're very open-minded.
And what did your dad say afterwards? Like, very well done, I enjoy, or just like, yeah, fine.
Yeah, he's like, well done, that's my girl.
Brilliant.
I'm super proud of it. He'll show people that he'll meet like videos of performing and be like, look, that's my daughter, isn't she amazing? Great. And I'm like, that's really weird because you're my dad.
I think that B's proud. That's cool. That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. So, and you all the time you're looking for. So you mainly do the burlesque at the moment. Do you still do the zombie stuff now and again? Where you get asked to do that?
Yes, I'm now actually the original company, the Events of Scare. They've now branched off into another company as well. So the Events of Scare is still going, but they've come to me for a different company. They want to branch off for the more like sexy side of horror. For example, music video, or like somebody might just want a photo shoot with 4 vampires, like Van Helsing style, with sexy lingerie, but they want the full prosthetics. Cool. So we put our heads together. And we've started a new business called Gore Erotic.
Okay.
And I'm now one of like the head managers and running that sort of agency.
Okay. And that's now, so that's again. And do you think this is because of like the the success of Game of Thrones and this and
Yes,
cosplay
definitely.
and
Yeah.
this is all. Is this now where you're getting the pull from to go to that side of stuff?
I think so, yeah. That's definitely a main pull for the business out there that's
Yeah.
bringing it forward. I think there's a lot more mainstream clubs that are now hiring performers, realizing that there's a pull for something more than just going out and having a drink. You want to be entertained, you want it to be different. Even if it's people doing walkabout in the background, it's still something different that people can get their phones out and record it and go, oh, this thing happened here.
And I suppose with technology and makeup and latex, and once you've done the prosthetic, you can look incredible. And people, I suppose, just you finding that people want that look on the day as well.
Yes, yeah. It's rather than having like pictures and posters, they want an actual physical person there interacting, being in character.
And because my mate, when he does his Voldemort, he's got to be in that all day. Do you find that? Do you have to take a break from when you're doing these characters after 3 or 4 hours? Do you need to just sort of like step out a bit and just have you got to eat, you got to have lunch?
Yeah, you do sometimes as well, especially if you're doing characters, for example, like zombies that put a strain on your like voice, because obviously you'll be straining it and groaning and screaming, and it's like it puts a lot of strain on, so you need to have a break, drink some water, relax, and then get back into character.
I'd love to see you all guys in a tent eating your lunch, a load of zombies, because apart from and you could actually affect prosthetic arms as you chew on different arms. But anyway, so you're doing you've got the Miss England finals coming up. You're doing the zombie stuff. You're now doing the gore erotic stuff. You're doing the burlesque, and it's just an amazing repertoire of stuff you do. So, and you're still 21, is that right?
Yes, I'm 21.
Lord. 21, right? Okay, I was still trying to tidy my room and work out what the hell I was going to do that day. So, and you're running a business as well. That's absolutely brilliant. Listen, one quick last question I've got to ask you is, who do you think I should interview for a future episode of Funny Peculiar Podcast?
I think that a good person I should put forward is my partner, who also does performing. He does fire breathing and ex-military, so has lots of knowledge on like martial arts and weaponry. And he also used to do Battle of the Nations, which is a huge sport that's basically where you dress up in knight armor and beat the hell out of each other until one of them's down. It's kind of like boxing, but with knight medieval stuff.
Oh, now that sounds like my type of guy for the podcast. And what's his name? What's his stage?
His name is Chris Baxter, but his stage name is Chris Hemlock.
Chris Hemlock. Wonderful. Well, I won't have to go far to track Chris down, because it's like I'll call you and we'll sort that one out. We'll say to Chris, I definitely want him on the show. That sounds, I want to talk to him all about his martial arts and the stunts and all the other cosplay stuff. That sounds absolutely brilliant. So Bella, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today. And I can't wait to hashtag this one, because there's so much to hashtag in. So it's like you're one of the big hashtaggers. I've got to so much variety there. So listen, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Funny Peculiar. Tune in next week. More great guests.
So there we have it. That was Bella Donna. Which I think you'll agree was a brilliant guest, and I learned a lot about zombies there and acting like a zombie, which I didn't know about. So check out Bella Donna again, Facebook, Instagram. It's Bella Stanier, Stanyer, and you'll find her on both of those platforms. So thank you again for listening, and keep telling everybody, keep sharing, and also I'll do another shout out for another great podcast. If you twiddling your dolls, you want to listen to something else, check out Game, Set and Chat with Cal Halbert. It's all about tennis. If you love tennis, he covers all the major events, opens, grand slams, all that sort of stuff. But have a listen. It's great fun, and he always does an interview with someone in the world of tennis. So Game, Set and Chat with Cal Halbert. Check it out. Anyway, thanks very much. Keep listening, keep tuning in, and another great guest next week.